Hello there. Today I wanted to talk about a podcast I listened to today from the wonderful Guy and Alan Ferdman. It was actually Guy that was interviewing this lady. Her name is Katarina Cozias. And the theme of the podcast was it's never too late, but also be yourself. And it feels like in the last few days, like all these different things, messages, podcasts, books, recommendations, things people say, other SFM videos. I don't know, it's all following a massively similar theme. And you've got to start listening to the signals that you're getting, you know, the messages that are coming through. And actually part of this particular podcast talks about intuition and talks about how women are more intuitive than men, because men are obviously a little bit more gung-ho, action takers, feel like they've got to, you know, go out and conquer the world and all the rest of it. And while they're doing all of that, they're not tuning in as well as they should be, whereas women more innately do that. But yeah, they're never too late. I mean, she was 37. And this reminded me of something actually that Justin Wolfe shares in the Elite Influencer, and I've heard him, I think, say it before. And she talked about her grandma, who was 85 at the time. She was 37. And she was not married, didn't have kids, hadn't followed her dream properly. Some of her friends had already been divorced. Are you going? All right. Enjoy. My son is off on a Halloween piss up, basically. And they've dressed up as Peaky Blinders with a little help from Mum. And her gran basically said to her, the best years of her life were between the age of 35 and 50. And at the time she was 37 or 38. And she then realised she's still got 12 years to go, right? And so how amazing was that? And it's like, you know, I've done it myself. Like, there's people in SFM that are in their 20s. And I'm like, do you know how blessed you are to be doing this now, not 20 years later when I'm doing it? Take full advantage of that. And she then went on to say that she did a really powerful exercise where she wrote a letter to her self today from her future self at the age of, 85, 90, say. And it's like when you look back at photographs of yourself when you were a teenager, when you were 18, 21, in your heyday, and at the time, especially women, you think you're fat, you think you're not attractive, you think this, you think that. And then you actually look back at photos of yourself and you're like, fucking hell, I look fucking hot. But I didn't get it at the time, you know, my confidence wasn't there or whatever. And I think it would be the same again. So if you can position yourself or imagine yourself even to be 85, and that's, you know, 40 odd years away. So that's 40 years to go. And how that 85-year-old would feel about a 45-year-old, which is probably how I would feel about a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old now. And you realise just how much they've got to live for and how much is yet to come. And I think sometimes when we get older and all the rest of it, we kind of forget a little bit about that and we think, oh shit, I'm past it. You know, my son is 19. He literally thinks he's got to achieve everything by tomorrow. And I'm like, Jake, you're not even 20 yet. Trust me. It doesn't have to be a race. Trust me. It's all about the journey. But I take myself back to in my 20s. I was exactly the same. You know, I was in one massive race to, I've got to do it now. I've got to achieve it. These are the best years of my life. I've got to do it all now. If I don't do it now, I'm going to be old and crinkly and grey and Christ, that's shit, isn't it? And he's got it, and he's got a bit of anxiety about it. So I'm trying to work with him on that. But really interestingly, he's now saying he needs to start reading because that's how you learn, that's how you develop. And I'm like, absolutely. That hasn't come from me. He's obviously come from someone else. But he sees what I'm doing and he's picking up on things, which is great. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and do that exercise in terms of being the 90-year-old me talking to me now at 45, because it just puts things into perspective in a really powerful way. The never too late thing, that's been a big thing for me as well. You know, I haven't achieved what I've wanted to achieve. I've been trying to do freedom for 15 odd years. Wanted to be a rock star before that, and never had the self-belief, so we never made it. You know, and there's lots of things really. You know, this Katarina, she talks about, she went and bloody did spreadsheets for 10 years in a finance job, and all she wanted to do was be a presenter, radio presenter, TV presenter, and all the rest of it. So, and now she's doing that. She finally went for it in her 30s, late 30s, and she's very successful at it. But the really powerful thing, which I've heard a million times, but it really resonated today on the back of something my mum wrote in my birthday card yesterday. So Guy asked her if there was one thing that you would share with somebody that would have a real impact, what would it be? And she said, just be yourself. Just be yourself with all of the quirks. You know, she talks really fast and all the rest of it, and she was saying, you know, if I tried to talk slow and be zen-like and all the rest of it, it wouldn't be me. So you've got to embrace who you are. You've got to embrace your quirks. You've got to embrace whether you're a quick talker, a slow talker, a monotone, or whatever. You know, whatever your personality is, if you laugh easily, if you don't laugh easily. I'm somebody that doesn't laugh easily, but I love to laugh. And people say, why are you not laughing? I'm like, well, you're not funny. But when something gets me, it really fucking gets me, you know? I'm like crying with laughter. So I think we just have to embrace all of that. And actually, I will share with you what she wrote. Now, my mum always just writes, to Mel, happy birthday, or have a lovely birthday, love mum, whatever. And I read this when I opened it last night, and I was like, wow. Wow. And she went, yes, I know. So if you can read that. Can you read that? I don't know whether it's going to be backwards. If it's backwards and you can't read it, it basically says, always be yourself. And then I heard that podcast earlier with Katarina about being yourself. And it's like, ding, ding, ding. Mel, we're up here, we're telling you, be your fucking self. And I'm like, I'm trying, I thought I was, you know, and all that sort of good stuff. But it's tough, isn't it? You know, like, something else, sorry, this is going on a bit, but I've seen people are doing 11 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. You know, one of the things she said, actually, you know, if you think, if you're too pretty, too ugly, too this, too that, whatever. I remember when I was younger, and I would always just, it was like a jealousy thing. So there was like 4 of us, girls, joined at the hip and all the rest of it, used to go out clubbing and stuff. And I would get away with stuff. I'm not saying I was getting away with weird stuff, just being me, you know, and all the rest of it. And somebody else wouldn't. But that was her perception. It wasn't the reality, but that was the way she was twisting things. And that affected me. And also, like, if I was always like really smiley and really like welcoming, which I am as a person, that people that know me, some guys, for example, would take that the completely wrong way, and like the next thing I'm in a situation where I'm like, what the fuck, get away from me. So I think all of that has really dampened me down over the years and made me apologise for what I look like, the fact that I've got a, you know, good body, all that sort of stuff. All the stuff that I've been slagged off for, I suppose, snide remarks, etc., etc. And I've never, ever put it out there like, oh, I love myself. Fucking hell, because I didn't. Not for a long time. But I kind of felt like I had to apologise for what I looked like. So I just stopped smiling, and I just stopped being this normal, friendly person, because it was getting me into trouble. My friends just kept saying I was this, I was that. I wasn't, I was just being friendly. So I can recognise that, and I recognised that when I was listening to the podcast earlier. So I would bet my bottom dollar that a lot of people watching this will have had a similar experience in one way or another, obviously in your own unique way. But those put downs, those people that tell you who do you think you are, really do affect you. You know, and well, I'm sharing everything here. I may as well share this as well. So when I was at school, I've always loved singing and was very self-conscious about it. Anyway, this one particular, it was me and a group of friends, and we used to like learn a song. This particular song we were doing was True Blue by Madonna. And I never thought I was much of a high singer, so I used to always go for the lower ones. And I was doing the harmonies. Anyway, the music, and we used to practice it outside the music room. And the music teacher grabbed us one day and said, "Oh, I was listening to you, you need to do that in front of the class." And we were like, "Oh my God," you know what it's like, so embarrassing. But we did it anyway. And there was one lad in the class, Stephen Webb, his name was, and he was a scallywag. He was always in trouble. And he, at the end of it all, and I think we'd left the class and we'd gone outside or whatever, he made some comment because he fancied Jenny, who was the main singer. "Oh, Jenny, you're amazing. Mel, you're fucking shit." And yeah, that stayed with me. I think we were probably about, I don't know, say 13-ish, around that age. That stayed with me for 10 years. I didn't do anything about singing. And it wasn't until, I was telling Jake yesterday actually, I was out with some friends at uni, and one of my friends had brought another friend who read palms, and she basically looked at my palm and I can't remember what else she said, but what I do remember is, "You have a dream and the only person that's holding you back is you." And I instantly knew what she was talking about. I instantly knew she was talking about singing. And that was the catalyst that then made me look in the classifieds in the Coventry Evening Telegraph, because we didn't have Tinterweb back then. And lo and behold, there was a band, a rock pop band, looking for a singer called Champagne Hedgehog. And that was the real start of my, when I became a singer and started doing loads of gigs and that with the band. But it took me 10 years to get over one throwaway comment from a scallywag who, last I heard, has spent a lot of time in prison and was a drug head and all the rest of it. But that's how low my confidence was at the time, to allow that comment to dampen me down for 10 years. So all very relevant, and I just wanted to share that because I know women especially are really guilty of it. And it's not necessary. And I think the older we get, the wiser we get, and hopefully we're developing, and there's a lot of people on this self-development journey, and we're all getting bigger and wiser and, you know, more confident and more self-love and more self-worth. But if you're still sort of teetering on that, not quite there, I just wanted to share that because I totally get it, and I know the reasons why I was that way, some of the reasons anyway. And it's bullshit. So just embrace who you are, because the people love who you are. They love the quirks. So I'm going to end it there because that's really long for me. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.